Hello, wonderful people. Andy here. I went from depressed and suicidal to living a life of abundance and joy. If I can do it, you sure as hell can too. And something occurred to me with the intros that I do, where I say, I live in a life of abundance and joy. There might be the false assumption from some of you that that must mean that I'm never unhappy, that I never have emotions, that I'm never human. And that is most certainly not the case. I sometimes feel down. I sometimes feel frustrated. I sometimes have beliefs and expectations about the way that the world should be or that I should be. I sometimes argue with reality just like all of you. And so if you're going through periods of anger or frustration, I promise you that's okay. That just makes you human. All that we're really doing here is working on being a little bit more peaceful each day, having a little bit more abundance mentality every day, a little bit more love in our hearts, a little bit more kindness towards ourselves and other people. We're walking that self improvement path one step at a time. I promise you, you don't have to be perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm a human being. We're all here just trying to do the best that we can. In other words, you're doing a good job just by virtue of being here, of listening to this content, of trying to improve your life, of taking some baby steps, and even just trying to be a little bit more happy. You're on the right path. I promise that you're going to make it. Just keep going. Let's answer some questions, and we're going to talk a little bit about dating and online dating and in person approaching today. So, Phoenix, and then some letters and numbers on the end of your name, says, for some reason, I feel a lot of anxiety about taking pictures. It's not for some reason, it's because you haven't taken a lot of pictures, which you kind of then go on to say, I can count on one hand the pics that I've been happy with in my life, and those happen to be the only pics that have ever gotten me laid. I've been trying to learn facial expressions using the inspiration on your site. So he is referring to my big Tinder guide on my website, which you can just find at killyourinaloser.com. And then I link to the Tinder guide here, this big button. You just click that. And in that Tinder guide, I have this article, or I link to this article called Tinder Photos and Inspiration. And I have a whole bunch of categories of photos that you can take for your dating profile. So I have street, like casual shots, shots of you in the gym or playing a sport, hobbies or maybe your job, travel photos, photos of you with animals like dogs, photos of your physique if you have a decent body, photos that are a little bit more fun and silly and a little bit more lighthearted, and then other types of photos, and then more inspiration. And so you can click any of these categories, and there's just a bunch of example photos. And yes, these guys are stupendously attractive. I literally talk about that here. Yes, these guys are attractive as hell. The point of this article is not for you to compare yourself, it's to use them as inspiration. This is kind of the pinnacle or the peak of photos that you could take for Instagram. These guys are all basically Instagram models, and who better to learn from than the guys who are literally the best at it? And any of these photos, if you could take a photo even remotely close to what these guys are able to pull off, then yeah, that would be a pretty fucking good photo for your dating profile. So he says, I've been trying to use the inspiration article on your website, but I haven't actually taken any pics in a week or two because I'm not sure what to try next. Try anything, my friend. Try anything and everything. Go out there and just click the button. I did an article a while ago called How to Take Better Tinder Pictures. And I literally said, just go take 10,000 pictures. Like, set that as your goal. I will take 10,000 pictures. And you might go, holy crap, that's a lot of pictures. Yeah. So get started. You better get to work. Go take 10,000 pictures, and I promise you, you will have an amazing portfolio. We often drastically underestimate the numbers game, and we say, but I've taken like 50 pictures, Andy. It's like, great, brilliant, that's amazing. Now go take 9,950, and then you'll have a really, really amazing portfolio. Same thing with approaching. If you go outside and say, Andy, I've talked to like 300 women over the last couple of months, and I still don't have a girlfriend. It's like 300 is brilliant. Imagine if you did 1,000. What results do you think you'd have then? Imagine if you did 10,000. This is literally how I think in terms of everything. I talk to probably, I don't know, 10 or 20,000 women by the time we count all of the ones on online dating across like a 10-year period, all the women that I hit on in person. There's probably like 10 to 20,000 women that I hit on. It might be even more. They didn't all talk to me and it didn't all go anywhere. That's the numbers game. Most of them weren't available or weren't interested or didn't reply to my first message on the online dating, app. 9 out of 10 women don't reply to my messages, my first message, or they'll reply once or twice, but it doesn't go anywhere. 90% of my online dating conversations don't end up meeting me. That's just the nature of the beast. That's the nature of the game. So talk to 10,000 different people, and then bam, you'll have some pretty amazing results. The same thing in business. There are times when, with this content, with this channel and my Spotify and my articles, I'm very tempted to say like, oh, it's not fair. I've tried so hard. How come I don't have the results that I want? So the answer is, all right, what if I did 10 times as much content? Like, what if I just did more content each day, or was more patient and just waited a bit longer, or did a bit of both? Would I have more of the results that I want? And the answer is yes. That's how this channel has grown. Like, I have done a hell of a lot of content. And we often drastically underestimate the numbers game, don't we, when it comes to business and stuff like that? Look, 844 videos is how many I have published on my YouTube channel. Then on my Spotify podcast, another 641 episodes, which is different content. I don't like cross-post across my podcast versus my YouTube channel. It's all unique content. And then on my website, killyourinnerloser.com, we have another 315 articles, including the massive Tinder guide, which is like 130,000 words long. So add that all up, that's 1,800 pieces of content. That is the numbers game in action, and we often drastically underestimate the numbers game, don't we? I've had a lot of people that say to me, Andy, I started a YouTube channel and I've done 100 videos and I only have like 300 subscribers. And it's like, yeah, that's brilliant. It's brilliant that you've done 100 videos. Now go do 700 more over the next 5 years and watch it grow. And it won't take 5 years, but it will slowly grow over those 5 years. And yes, there are ways to go viral. Yes, there are ways to grow a lot quicker. But look, just by sheer virtue of doing 844 videos, I have almost 60, or we have almost 60,000 subscribers. So that's the numbers game. And so the same thing happens here, or applies here, with photography. If you want really amazing photos, and more to the point, if you want to be a little bit better or more comfortable with your facial expressions, go take 10,000 photos. I promise you, just by virtue of taking 10,000 photos, you will learn how to pose. You'll learn to pose in a way that doesn't feel like you're posing. You'll learn to relax. There are lots of different techniques that you can use. One of my favorite ones is to kind of just shake your body a little bit and relax and pretend you don't care. Ironically, pretending that you don't care is a really quick way to relax your body physically. I do this with anyone that I take out to do a photo shoot. Sometimes I take people out and I do a photo shoot with them. And my favorite technique is to say, hey, I want you to pretend that you don't care right now. That's the definition of abundance mentality, or I don't give a fuck mentality. It's literally outcome independence to say, you know what, I don't care. And you release a little bit of that tension and you say, if I do a photo shoot today, and we take 500 photos and none of them are good, that's okay. I can just go out and do another photo shoot. If I don't take great photos and I don't have a great online dating profile, that's okay too. I can just go out in person and talk to women. Even if I have an absolute shit profile and no women will match with me and no women are interested in me, that's okay. I got other options. I don't need this. I want this, but I don't need it. I don't have to sit there in fear and tension and all of that. That's where a lot of the tension comes from. It also comes from the fact that, as you already pointed out, you just haven't taken a lot of photos. You said I can count on one hand the pics that I've been happy with in my life. That literally immediately tells me that you haven't taken a lot of photos, and that's okay. Most guys haven't. Women, generally speaking, take a lot of photos of themselves, selfies, and their girlfriends are together and they go, let's take a selfie together, and they'll take a lot of photos. If you start paying attention, guys, to women taking photos, what you'll see is they never just grab their phone and hold it up and go, snap, done. That's not how women take photos. That's how guys take photos. They're just snap, done. And then it's like, oh, but was that photo even good? Doesn't matter. I took a photo. I'm just trying to show off where I am. Most women, when they hold their phone up, will go snap, 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 snap. And then they'll try different angles. They'll give their phone to their friend and they'll snap, 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 snap. And they'll try posing, they'll try this, they'll try that, they'll try going this way, that way. They'll try a million different things. If you actually start paying attention to women on a night out or women at a tourist location or a landmark or something, taking photos, you'll see that they basically never take just one photo because they understand that looking good in a photo is a numbers game. Even after all the fucking 10 million selfies that they've taken, they still can't guarantee that in one snapshot, the one click of the button, they will somehow look good. No, It takes practice. It takes trying different angles. It's a numbers game. Just like if you walk up to one person and say, "Hi, you're really attractive. Can I hit on you? Or do you want to go out with me?" Chances are that person isn't single or isn't available or doesn't say yes. And so it's a numbers game. So yeah, man, it's just a numbers game. I promise you that you'll get more comfortable with this when you do it more. You say, "I haven't actually taken any pictures in a week or two because I'm not sure what to try next." No, that's not quite true. That seems like why you haven't taken photos in a week or two. The reason you haven't taken photos in a week or two is because you haven't given yourself permission to suck at this. You haven't given yourself the humble permission that can require a little bit of humility. It can humble us to say, "I'm going to go out there with my camera and I don't know what I'm going to take. I don't know what photos to take. I'm probably going to look like a fucking idiot." You're basically going out there without a plan. That's what I'm encouraging you to do. Take the camera or your phone or whatever you're using and go somewhere, anywhere. It almost doesn't matter. And just take some fucking photos. And yes, some of them might look dog shit because you don't have a magical plan of the best photos to take or any of that. But that is what giving yourself permission to suck looks like. You've sort of been putting all this pressure on yourself that if I'm going to go out there, I have to do a bunch of research, like Andy's inspiration article that I showed you. And great, like that research is great. But you're basically saying, unless I know what photos to take, I'm not going to go out there and actually try. It's the same thing that a lot of guys do when it comes to hitting on women in person. They'll say, unless I know exactly where to go and exactly what to say and the exact pickup lines to use, then I'm not going to try. I don't want to be the man without a plan. I don't want to risk looking like an idiot. It's a fear of rejection. It's a fear of looking silly. It's a fear of something bad happening. That is why I say all the time, here is your 3-step formula for success. Number 1, give yourself permission to suck. Number 2, just take some baby steps every day, every week, every month, every year. Number 3, just keep going. That's it. Give yourself permission to suck. Take some baby steps. Keep doing that. That's it. But people skip that first step. And sometimes we don't even know that we're doing it. Like you, Phoenix, you probably didn't even realize that you were doing that. You probably didn't realize that you hadn't given yourself permission to suck. Because we're just so used to saying, I'm so fear-driven and afraid of rejection and afraid of looking stupid that I'm not going to try something unless I know exactly what to do. I need an expert or a guru. I need Andy to tell me exactly what to do. I almost need daddy to hold my hand. Like I'm kind of your proxy daddy in this weird analogy. Just stick with it for a second. It's almost like I need daddy to hold my hand and tell me everything to do. And if he doesn't tell me what to do, then I can't do anything. I'm stuck until someone, an expert, tells me what to do. And you even say here, I'm going to be home alone for a few weeks and I have a phone and a tripod. You left this comment like a week and a half ago. Have you done anything in that week and a half? And if you haven't, that's okay. But like, actually, by the time this video comes out, it would have been like 2.5 weeks since you left your comment. And so you see how if you wait for daddy, like me or someone else or whatever, some book or some YouTube video to tell you what to do and give you all the answers, you might be waiting 2 weeks. And I'm not going to reply to all of your comments, like all of you. I think you know that that's not physically possible. And so if you sit there waiting for someone to tell you what to do, you're going to be sitting there waiting for a long time. If you wait for the government or you wait for some politician or some lawmaker or some book or some motivational speaker or your coach or someone like that to tell you what to do, you're just not going to take as much action. And so a big part of this whole process, this self-improvement process, is saying, look, I don't have a plan right now, but fuck it, I'm going to go out there and try. You know, it's the thing that I say all the time on this channel. I have no expectations, only curiosity. I'm going to go out there with my camera and I'm going to take some photos. I'm curious to see how they turn out. I have no expectations that they have to be good. I'm just curious to see what happens. Let me go out there and maybe I get some amazing photos accidentally. Maybe I walk around for 3 hours and I find some dope location that's just amazing, like a fucking waterfall or something, and I stand in front of it and I just happen to look like a hot little piece of ass right there in that moment. I take a good photo and I go, holy shit, I don't know how that happened. Yeah, it's almost accidental. It's random. The same way that if you want a girlfriend or you want to have a lot of sexual experiences and you're going outside to talk to women, you might just go out and talk to 15 women and the first 14, it doesn't go so well. They're not that interested in you. You have gratitude in your heart for them. You're like, hey, that's beautiful. I know you're not interested, but have a beautiful day. It was nice talking to you. And then the 15th woman that you talk to, boom, she's just magically into you. You didn't do anything different. You're doing exactly what you did for the last 14, but there's just some spark there. She's single. She really likes you. She thinks you're incredibly fucking courageous for hitting on her. and you guys hit it off and you have the most amazing magical conversation ever, and then you end up going on a date and you end up being boyfriend, girlfriend, and fucking you get married and have kids. Who fucking knows? And it feels completely random. You're like, why her? I didn't do anything different. Like, why that 15th woman that I talked to did it go so well? That's the fucking numbers game. This shit is so random. And there's beauty in that because it means you're not fully responsible for the outcome. It means you don't have to put all this pressure on yourself with every woman that you walk up to and hit on to do a perfect job. Because sometimes you'll do an okay job. Maybe you'll even do a crappy job and it doesn't fucking matter because she likes you anyway. I can't tell you how many times I've done a really shitty approach, or I just haven't been in a great mood on a date, or I've had a lot of stress or something, and it doesn't fucking matter. That person liked me and we ended up hitting it off and it went amazingly swimmingly. And so the same thing with taking photos. Sometimes you will go out and yeah, you don't know what pictures you're going to take. Like, why do you need to know what pictures you're going to try next? Go out there and try. Maybe you go out there and you click the button 500 times and you come home and you go, these photos fucking suck. Good. Now you have learned what not to do. But so many of you are so afraid to fail, so afraid of looking silly, so afraid of walking that path and treading through the jungle without a plan that you don't really try. You sort of sit there for a week or two, and that's okay, brother. Like, you don't need to feel bad about that. But we sit there for a week or two and we don't take any action because we're like, I need daddy to tell me what to do. I need daddy Andy. And I'm here for you guys, but I can't be there holding your hand constantly, can I? Like, again, with this guy, you left this comment probably by the time this video comes out 2.5 weeks ago. So you haven't taken any pics in a week or two, probably 2 weeks if, you're honest. I don't know if you're going to have taken any pics from now till then, like who knows. But if you haven't, then that would be a month that you haven't taken pictures because you were waiting for daddy to tell you what to do. And then you also didn't take the initiative to, if you really want me to tell you what to do, reach out to me for a coaching call. I say them in every video. There is a link in the description to every video that you can book in a short coaching call with me. They're $200. We sit there for, I know it says 1 hour, but I let these calls go for as long as they need to. I've had calls that go for 5 fucking hours. And I will sit there and tell you exactly what pictures you can try. I will give you a whole bunch of inspiration. We can sit there and plan where in your city or your town or whatever you could go to and take pictures. Like, we could solve the problem. But you probably sat there a little bit passively. I'm making a big assumption there. You might have gone out and taken pictures, but a lot of people in this situation sit there passively and don't really go out and do anything, and then don't hit me up for a coaching call to help them with that. So there are all of these solutions, but we often sit there, don't we? Very passive, sort of waiting for someone to come along, almost like a knight in shining armor, a white knight in shining armor, to tell us like, hey, here's the photos you need to take. Here's the exact thing you need to do. Most of what I have done in definitely the dating and sex arena was me figuring a bunch of random shit out. Yes, I learned from people. I learned from Mark Manson, Chris from Good Looking Loser, Caleb Jones, a bunch of other people. But a whole lot of it was just complete and utter experimentation. Me trying shit and seeing what sticked or what stuck. And most of it didn't. Most of it didn't work the way that I thought it would. And so I'd try something else. Like all of the BDSM stuff that I do, like this that I'm showing on the screen, this is my BDSM Hinge profile, and Imi, my girlfriend, has a similar profile. I figured all this out. This was just experimentation. Like, what happens if you literally put a BDSM picture up, or a couple, I guess there's a couple in there. What happens if you literally, in the profile, you can see there on the right-hand side, under unusual skills, I'm in an open relationship. We're both into BDSM and we're both very good at teaching. What happens if you're just fucking honest about that? What happens if you literally in your first message be like, hey, are you interested in exploring with me and my girlfriend Imi? We'd love to teach you. We enjoy teaching people inside and outside of the bedroom. I'm a life coach. Here's our YouTube channel. What happens if you're just completely open and honest with all of that? That was me just experimenting. There's no fucking like, here's how to do BDSM online dating profiles. There was no guide to that. I had to fucking figure it out. The same thing with threesomes. What Imi and I do, I guess we're doing threesomes at the same time as BDSM. That shit was me just figuring it out. I wrote an entire massive long threesome guide, which is over on my website. I can't link to it because it's got naughty content and YouTube won't let me link to it, but you'll be able to find that if you do some Googling and shit like that. But that guide was me just experimenting, or us just experimenting. What happens if you're honest about a threesome? How does one even have a threesome? Is it something you're allowed to ask for? Surely not. It's something that you have to be an alpha male and just somehow say the right things and then you'll get it right. No, you can just ask for it. You can just be honest. All of that was me just experimenting. Everything that I've done in business, yes, there are a hell of a lot of people that I learned from. Again, Chris from Good Looking Loser actually had quite a bit of business advice. People like Seth Godin, Alex Hormozy, Dan Henry, Sam Ovens, like a million other people, Pat Flynn. My God, I love that guy. There are so many people that I learned from, yes, but a big part of this was experimentation. What happens if I put my prices up? What happens if I set this at my price? What happens if I only do one-on-one coaching? Can you help people more in group coaching? Yes, group coaching actually helps people more than one-on-one coaching because they're in a fucking group. They can help each other. There's camaraderie, there's kinship, and all of that shit. All of this has just been experimentation. What happens if I just sit here and answer people's questions on YouTube? Will some of those people actually change their life? Will they listen? Can you help someone through a webcam, through a camera, or across the internet? Is that even a thing that can be done? Can I really make a difference in people's lives if I never actually meet them in person? Yes, is the obvious answer, but all of this has just been experimentation. What happens if I do a YouTube video? I didn't have a YouTube channel a few years ago. I didn't have a Spotify podcast. That was difficult to say. Spotify podcast. I'd never done a podcast. I only had my blog. At one point, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever it is, I didn't even have a blog. I hadn't done anything. And so I was like, what happens if I start a blog? How do you even start a blog? How do you even write words on the internet? What if nobody likes it? It's all just been experimentation. And part of the reason why I've been able to have some success in dating and sex and relationships, Imi and I have been together for 6.5 years. We're dating Bronwyn, the girl that we've been with, for 2 years now. We actually all celebrated our anniversary, our 2-year anniversary, like 3 days ago. So all of that success has been by experimentation. I didn't know how to do any of this shit. There aren't that many instruction manuals on how to do some of the weird stuff that we have done. It's not weird to us, but it's not exactly mainstream normal. And definitely with business and coaching and all of that, I've just experimented. I wrote an article about this a while ago. This article here, this is all a big experiment. That's me, by the way. I took that photo many years ago, covered in ice cream, and that was my girlfriend at the time, covered in chocolate. And the whole point of this article is me saying the reason that I've been successful is because I just try a bunch of stuff. And I try something a few times. Maybe it doesn't work out. Cool, I learned something. But a lot of you are so unbelievably afraid to go out there and actually just experiment and fuck around and try something. I have no expectations, only curiosity, that you don't really experiment. You sit there waiting for someone to tell you what to do. But there's one of my favorite quotes here. How could youths, and you don't have to be a youth, it's just part of the quote, but how could people better learn to live than by at once trying the experiment of living, by Henry David Thoreau, one of my favorite people. And so this is all just a big experiment, You don't have to know what to do. Go out there and try a bunch of shit. Fail miserably. Great, you'll learn something. Succeed unexpectedly. Play around, have fun. This process is allowed to be fun. It doesn't have to be so fucking serious. And you can kind of see your question here as you just taking it a little bit too seriously, man. It's okay if you go out there and take some shitty photos. It's okay if you don't know what photos to go and take, Just go and try stuff. Do a bunch of Googling. Just Google hot Instagram model and you'll find a whole bunch of examples. That's literally how I found all the photos, the examples in that inspiration article. Google how to pose. Like, you could have done that yourself. I think if you're honest with yourself, you know that. There are so many posing guides on the internet. You don't need me. That was the point of this video. Isn't that funny? Like, look at the thumbnail that's on the screen. That was on, this guy left this comment on this video here called You Don't Need Me. Like, you don't need Andy. You can Google. You have ChatGPT now. You can go, how do I pose? Hi, I'm a guy trying to take photos for my Instagram or for my online dating. How do I look really good? And I don't want to look boring and safe. Can you please help me take some photos that make me look sexy or attractive or will make me look hot? Ask ChatGPT that and say, ChatGPT, can you link me to a bunch of articles? ChatGPT can Google shit now for you. So just say, hey, ChatGPT, fucking tell me. And it will give you a whole bunch of shit. And then Google it. You could have done that by yourself. You sat around for a week or two. And it's okay that you did. You don't have to feel bad about it. But you sat around for a week or two not doing anything. My friend, why didn't you Google? Why didn't you Google? And I've written a ton of articles outside of the inspiration article. I have so much content of like how to take better Tinder pictures, why your Tinder pictures suck, like what to do. There's so many videos I've done on this. I've done multiple videos on this. You could have used my profile. It's not the best profile in the entire world, but you could have used it for inspiration and gone, fuck, what if I try a little bit more kinky shit, like BDSM shit? What if I get a really attractive girl to pose in a photo with me like Andy has? You could have just copied my profile and tried to emulate it. But yeah, we often sit there and we use the excuse of, I don't know what to do. And it's like, well, your first step is Googling then, or asking. And yeah, you asked me for help. That's brilliant. So let's give you credit for that. It's really, really beautiful that you asked me for help. That's amazing. But again, I'm not always going to be there to answer all of your questions. And I could sort of put it to you, and I'll try and say it gently, my friend. But why didn't you just hit me up for one of these? You could have booked it in. We could have talked like weeks ago, sat there for several hours going over your profile, going over the pictures that you already have. It's far easier for me to coach you if I can see your profile. I don't know what you look like. I'm giving advice to a generic comment on the internet, but we could have talked. We could have put a face to a name. I could have told you what pictures to take, told you which ones are working really well, given you some tips on posing. We could have sat there for hours and I could have reassured you and made you feel good. That's what these calls are for, ladies and gentlemen. I made them $200. I will sit there with some of you for like 3 or 4 or 5 hours. That is like such a fucking discounted rate at that point that it's absurd compared to what the coaching program costs and compared to what I could charge. I've made them that so that you all can book them in. But a lot of you will ask questions in the comments that maybe I get to, and it's obviously a lot harder to coach you in the comments because I don't know you. I don't know what you look like and all of that. Guys, just take a fucking coaching call. Like, that's what they're there for. I've made them that discounted so that you can sit there with me, so that you can afford to sit there with me. So jump on one of these calls, bro. And any of the rest of you that are sitting there going, I don't know what to do with my dating profile, or I don't know how to talk to women in person, or I don't know how to start my business. Guys, jump on one of these. There's a link in the description. That's what these are for. But the final part of your question is, how can I use that time productively? As in, you said you have a few weeks, which we're probably now cut into for quite a bit. Probably missed out on an extra like 2 or 3 or 4 weeks now by the time I got to answer this question. So I guess I can answer it retroactively, or for any of the rest of you. I mean, first thing, book in a coaching call with me. $200, boom. I can tell you how to use that time productively. But the second thing would be, go out there and just experiment, man. You don't have to be perfect at this. You're putting all this pressure on yourself that you have to know what to do. You have to be good at posing. You have to be good at facial expressions. You have to just mimic all the stuff in the inspiration. No, you're going to suck at this. How many times am I going to say this? Give yourself permission to suck, all of you. You're all putting pressure on yourselves. Most of you are putting insane pressure on yourselves to be good at something that you haven't done a lot. That's absurd. It's that beautiful, innocent, egotistical part of us that's like, I have to be good at everything I do. I'm not allowed to suck. What the fuck? Go out there and suck. What bad thing happens if you go out there and take a bunch of pictures and they're dog shit? You'll now know what not to do next time. That is how I got good at photography. Literally, my first 1,000 photos were such fucking garbage. Like, the stuff that I was taking a photo of wasn't even in focus, or it was too underexposed, or it was too dark, or it was blurry. It was just composed really shitly, or I cut myself off in the photo. Like, I'm not even in the center of the frame, or, a billion other things. Like, my first 1,000 photos were not good. They just weren't good. I don't even have a copy. Actually, I have a copy of some of them, but they're so terrible that you'd look at them and be like, what the fuck, bro? What is this? Yeah, no shit. I don't know how to take photos. And I just took thousands of photos, and then they started getting decent. Then they started getting amazing. Then I became a photographer, and it's like, oh shit, now I know what to do. You're going to suck at the start. Same with your first couple of approaches. You're going to be so fucking terrible, probably, most of you. Some of you won't suck. You'll just naturally, accidentally be good at something because you will give yourself permission to be bad at it. And then ironically, that gives you a strong sense of confidence because you're like, you know what? It's okay if I suck. That's confidence. Confidence isn't being good at something and knowing that you're hot shit. That's almost arrogance. That's pride. Confidence is going, if I suck at this, that's okay. Lots of people suck at this. I don't need to be good at this. That's confidence. I've said this in so much content. I encourage all of my coaching clients to be honest, to be vulnerable, to be real, to not fucking try and be an alpha male. And when they're on a date, if they're nervous or they don't have a lot of dating experience or they've never had sex or something, just be fucking honest about that. Just own it and just tell the truth and be like, yo, hey, I haven't had a lot of sex. I'll be real with you. I'm really looking to get some more experience. I think it's going to be a blast. I'm so excited. And time again, do you know what women say on these dates when the guy says, by the way, I haven't had sex ever, or by the way, I haven't had sex in 5 years. We got a guy in my coaching group who's now had sex twice. Well, had sex once and then fingered and done a bunch of other stuff with the second girl. So he's had 2 sexual experiences. He hadn't had any sexual experiences for 6 or 7 years before that. And he was honest with the women about that. Do you know what one of them said to him? They said, I don't believe you. You must be a fuckboy. And he's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, you're so confident. You're just telling me that you're nervous. You're telling me that, all this stuff. You're just confessing it. I don't believe that you're inexperienced. I don't believe you. And he's like, what do you want me to say? I'm telling you, I haven't had sex in 6 years. And she's like, you're too honest. You're too confident. I don't believe you. No one would just confess that they haven't had sex in 6 years. They'd be ashamed of it. They'd be weird about it. They'd be unconfident. They'd be hiding that from me. The fact that you just tell me like this openly makes me think you're fucking with me. And he's like, you can believe what you want, but I haven't had sex in like 6 or 7 years. I'm paying a dating coach, me, Andy, to help me with this shit. Like, I'm just telling you the truth. And she's like, I don't know if I believe you. You're being too upfront about this. I don't feel someone would confess this. That's what fucking being unconfident comes across as. It weirdly comes across as being confident. If you own your lack of confidence, if you say I suck or I might suck or it's okay if I suck, you literally look confident. And so a lot of the time, if we can just give ourselves that permission to suck and really, really, really believe it or feel it or do it, like, it's okay if I suck. It's okay if I don't know what I'm doing. It's okay if I go out there and take a bunch of pictures and they suck. It's okay if I go on a date and I'm nervous. It's okay if I have a blank in my mind and I don't know what to say to a woman. That's okay. If you own that, you oddly enough come across as really confident because you don't care anymore. That's what confidence is. Confidence isn't knowing that you're perfect and everything is good. Confidence is knowing that it's okay if you suck. How many times in content have I been very vulnerable with all of you? I was at the start of this video. I literally told you, when I say I'm full of abundance and joy, I'm not always perfect. Sometimes I'm sad. Sometimes I'm angry. That's me being vulnerable with you. You probably think that's confident. It probably comes across as confident to just be like, hey guys, I'm not perfect. And that's okay. Like, you're like, holy fuck, I can't believe this guy admitted that. I'm too scared to admit that. And this guy just fucking said it. Wow, he's so confident. No, I'm not. That's the fucking point. I just don't give a shit if I'm confident. And so when you let yourself actually give yourself permission to suck, holy fuck, you come across as incredibly confident. So how to use your time productively. Do a fucking $200 coaching call with me, my friend. And that goes for any of the rest of you that want my help with something or want some advice or motivation or you need some answers. Just $200. Probably spend that at a fucking week at the club or something. $200, I will change your life, I promise. If I don't, you can fucking call me Donkey Dick on the internet or something and have all your fucking money back and I'll issue a formal apology. I won't really do that, but I will sit there for as many hours as we need to until you feel that I have genuinely changed your life. Okay? $200 fucking dollars. Just do that. And then the second thing that I would do is I would go out there and just give yourself permission to suck, my brother. If you haven't already, just take the fucking camera, walk around. You don't need to go out there every single time and take a bunch of like killer photos. In fact, most of my photo shoots that I have ever done in my life, yeah, I came back with a bunch of okay, mediocre photos. And then I went out there the next day and did more. Ed, one of the coaches in my coaching program, he has some amazing killer photos in his portfolio, in his like dating profile. But I can't tell you how many times he's gone out, taken a bunch of photos, paid a fucking photographer like $300 and come back and gone, like, these are good photos, but like, they're not mind blowing. I'm not going to use any of them. That's happened to him more times, especially now. That happens to him more times than him taking a bunch of photos and going, these are God tier. Like most of his photo shoots, he will come back and be like, they're okay, but I'm not going to use any because they're not better than my current profile pictures. And that part of that is because he's maxed his profile out or he's in the process of that. He already has a fucking killer profile. Same with Cam, same with Taylor, my other, like, those are the 3 coaches in my coaching program. But the point is, most of our photo shoots, all 4 of us, yeah, we don't come back with like God tier fucking photos that are better than what we already had. We understand it's a numbers game. Most people that like most of you listening, I say, hey, book in one of those $200 coaching calls and I will change your life. The vast majority of you won't. Like, that's just the numbers game. There's like fucking 60,000 of you subscribed. 60,000 of you aren't going to book in a $200 coaching call with me. Like, obviously, that's the numbers game at play. Okay, so if we can really embrace that and give ourselves that permission to suck, we will end up going out there and accidentally almost, it feels accidental, taking a bunch of good photos. So get out there, my friend, give yourself that permission to suck, book in a $200 coaching call with me, dude, and I can answer this way, 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 way better than in a video. But to give you a little bit of credit, you are already doing a good job. You've already taken some pictures. You already say that you've had a few results and you've met some women and had some sexual experiences. You've already read the inspiration article. You've already been taking pictures. You're just procrastinating now a little bit because you're putting all that pressure on yourself to be perfect. You've already reached out to me for help. How fucking brilliant is that? You're already doing a good job, my friend. Like a really fucking good job. This is already incredible. Like, holy shit. And now we're just giving ourselves a little bit more permission to suck. We're going to be humbled by that process a little bit. Like, you're going to go out there and take some pictures and they'll probably suck and you'll feel very fucking humbled by that. But humility is literally how you succeed. Like, being humble enough to say, yeah, I fucking suck sometimes. What of it? Who cares? I said that to all of you at the start of this video. Hey, I'm not always full of abundance and joy. Sometimes I feel some emotions that, I believe and I get stuck on and all of that, just like all of you. So embrace that side of yourself. You're not perfect, and that's fucking beautiful, man. That's what makes you human. If you're perfect, that would be like entering cheat codes into a video game. It's not fun anymore. Part of the joy of life is that we start out imperfect, and we're trying to reach that perfection. We'll never get there. That's the point. There's always something to improve, something that could be better. You could also say we are perfect in our imperfection. That's what Buddhism and things like that would say. You're already perfect. And we're just working on being a little bit more perfect each day. So you're doing a good job, my brother. Really, really, really good shit. Let's jump into the next one. This is just a general nice little fucking comment from KMarks7194 who says, awesome message. This was on a video that I did where I released one free chapter from my Play to Win video course. I actually released, I think, 4 chapters out of the like 12 or 13 chapters that are in there. So you can just search my channel for free chapter and you'll see a few of the different chapters that I released. And the Play to Win video course is just this video course here. You can pay whatever you would like to donate to me for that, even if that's just $1. And it's literally everything I learned going from depressed and suicidal to living a life of abundance and joy. It's basically stoicism, how to set goals, how to even know what goals to work on in the first place, what to do when you have limiting beliefs, what to do when you hit a setback or a failure or a mistake, how to recontextualize those things and see them not even as a mistake or a failure, but as a learning experiment or learning experience. So it's a whole bunch of shit about mindset and how to work on goals, how to set and achieve goals, basically how to live the life that you want to live. So I appreciate that nice comment. I really appreciate all of your nice comments, by the way. Like, a lot of you leave very kind, very generous, very nice comments, and it really does make this a lot more fun. It's so much more fun when you have a bunch of nice fucking people that you get to hang out with, and that's what this feels like. I'm hanging out with all of you lovely people, and we're working on our goals and our abundance and our joy. So hell yeah, I appreciate that. And we'll do one final comment from 0T6V. We're all people at the end of the day. It's encouraging to hear conversations like this happening. Yeah, so this was on a video that I did about that I used to be obsessed with this idea of being like an alpha male, having a fast car, fancy women, lots of sex, tons of money, all of that. Kind of like I don't mean to call him out, but this just, I think, is a really good example. If any of you remember, Tai Lopez was a little bit like that, and more recently, maybe Andrew Tate. And nothing against these guys. It's not that they're fake or anything, although let's leave that discussion for later. But the people that sort of put that image of like, you have to be this alpha male, you can never have any emotions, you're never allowed to be real, you can never have any doubts. In fact, if you ever have doubts, you're a fucking pussy. You have to be like a top G, perfect all the time. That kind of like pinnacle of almost insecure masculinity. And when I say that, what I mean by that is like you're putting on this mask of bravado that you're perfect all the time. That's just not human beings. Like, human beings have insecurity. They're not perfect all the time. Maybe if you become an enlightened Buddhist monk and you get to a point where you let go of the body and you let go of the mind and you become the higher self, and then you walk around just observing the universe rather than getting caught up in it and all of that, sure. Maybe at that point you don't really have many insecurities, or you notice the insecurities but you don't buy into them, sure. But the vast majority of us have insecurities. We have anger, we have fear, we have all of that. And to pretend otherwise comes from a place of almost like fear or insecurity. You're afraid to be your true self because you're worried that people will judge you. And so that was kind of what this video was a little bit about. I used to be obsessed with this idea of being this perfect James Bond stoic alpha male and never having any emotions, definitely never letting anyone see my emotions. And it just left me feeling very closed off from the rest of the world, and definitely closed off from women. I felt very disconnected. I felt like I couldn't be my true self. I definitely felt like I couldn't ask for help. And therefore, I didn't improve at a lot of things. If you can't open up and say, hey, sometimes I get fucking angry and I don't know what to do about it. Hey, sometimes I feel like a fucking loser and I've never really told anyone that before. Hey, sometimes I see a pretty girl and I want to hit on her, but I think, why? What's the point? Why would she ever get with a guy like me? If you can't open up about that, how will you ever solve that problem? Like, you're not going to solve that problem. You need to be able to tell someone else. You need to tell either the women themselves and say, hey, do you ever feel insecure? Sometimes I do. And she'll be like, yeah, no shit. Of course I feel insecure. And you go, whoa, that's blowing my mind. You're insecure about what? And she'll tell you. And then you go, holy shit. I thought we were disconnected. I thought it was men versus women. I thought it was me over here being all insecure, trying to be an alpha male, and you were just some beautiful, pretty princess who never has any problems. And she'll go, holy shit, this is blowing my mind, because that's how I view men. I just assume men, because a lot of you walk around trying to be a fucking alpha male. You walk around acting like you have no emotions or insecurities or fears or doubts or pain or guilt or shame or any of that. I just assumed you all had your shit together and that I was just some dumb woman who didn't have her life together. Holy shit, this is blowing my mind. And you have a beautiful connection and conversation. But if you don't, or if you aren't ready to open up to women because you're a little bit scared, that's okay. At least if you open up to other men or open up to this channel, like I will always, try my best to be as non-judgmental as I possibly can. I will try my fucking hardest at that. And if I ever have judgments about any of you, I will tell you and I will let go of it and I will do the work on it and all of that. For the most part, 99.999% of the time, this is a very safe channel where I won't judge you. And most of the people in the comments won't judge you. Sometimes there are negativity in the comments, of course, but like most of us won't judge you. So either open up here or open up to a fucking therapist if you want to. You're very welcome to hit me up for one of those $200 coaching calls that I said and open up to me there. Open up to friends, open up to women if you feel brave, whatever it might be. But as you start to open up and say, hey, I'm a human being and here's how I feel sometimes, people go, holy shit, me too. And you go, whoa, that already solves half of the problem. A problem shared is a problem halved. And then they might be able to give you some fucking advice and say, hey, here's what worked for me. And you go, holy shit. Especially if you ask for it, what has worked for you? And then they'll tell you. Or they go, I don't know, I'm still figuring this out. And then you go, do you want to team up together? Because I'm still trying to figure this out too. Maybe we can figure it out together. Two heads are better than one. And then the other person most of the time goes, yeah, I'd really like that. I've been really fucking stuck. You have no idea how many times you will have that conversation with people that you're on a date with. I can't tell you how many times my coaching clients have taken that brave step of opening up a bit and saying, hey, I'll be real with you. Sometimes I put pressure on myself to be perfect and to be an alpha male and all of that. Do you ever put pressure on yourself to be a perfect feminine woman? And they'll go, yeah, all the time. And then they go, holy shit, do you want to team up together and work on this? And they'll go, yes, please. That's essentially what Emmy and I did. My girlfriend Emmy and I, literally, once we got to the point where we were like, before that. So early in the relationship, we were just dating casually. It was pretty much just sex. But at the start, she told me, I asked her a bunch of goals that she had, and I shared my own goals and my own struggles and what I was working on and what I was, unsure of and all of that, my insecurities and all of that. And she started opening up too. And then I said, do you want my help with this? Do you want to team up? Do you want to keep each other accountable? And she was like, hell yes, please, please. I've never had someone guide me with my own goals. Yes, please, I would like that. And then when we got to a point where we were ready to build it into a relationship, which was about 9 months into sleeping with each other, and we were like, hey, do you want to build something? Do you want to be like boyfriend, girlfriend, and build a relationship? At that point, we both said, I fucking suck at relationships. She was like, I've never had a relationship, and both of my parents are divorced multiple times each. And most of my family members are either divorced or very unhappy or they fight all the time or something like that. I don't know the first thing about healthy relationships. And I said, guess what? I had she already knew this by this point, but I was like, those two relationships that I was in, you already know this, but they were deeply unhappy. We fought all the time. I cheated on both of them. The second one of them was violent with me sometimes, and I was violent back to her sometimes. The first one, sometimes I would scream at her. I wanted to kill myself in the first relationship. A lot of times I threatened it to her. Maybe I should just kill myself. And then she'd be like, maybe you should, because she got sick of hearing me say it 10,000 fucking times. They weren't exactly healthy, functional, loving relationships at all, by any means. We were both trying to do our best. We were just people trying to do our best, but holy shit, not particularly full of love. And so I said all that to her. She knew all that already. I said, I suck at relationships. You suck at relationships. You don't even know what you're doing. Do you want to suck together and we'll team up? And we're both going to admit that we suck at this. We've already admitted that. We're both not even going to pretend that we're good at relationships. What would be the point of that? Putting on this fake alpha mask of like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. It's like, we suck. Let's just be honest and raw and real about that. And let's slowly, week by week, improve at it. Is that something that you want to do with me? Are you willing to do that with me? And she was like, I am. And I was like, okay, what if we do like a weekly accountability check-in? We'll meet once a week and we'll talk about the relationship. We'll talk about our own individual lives and how they're going. You will push me with my life. I will push you with your life. We will talk about the relationship and how it's going, what we're really grateful for and what we feel we did well that week. We can celebrate those little victories, even if they're tiny little baby steps. And then what do we want to do next week? How can we work on making the relationship a little bit better each week? And that's what we've done. We've done that for the last like 5 years. We just have a weekly accountability check-in every Monday. We walk around all the day. We have the day off. And we just talk about our relationship. And this is something that I give to all the clients that I've worked with that are in a relationship. You know, we've worked with quite a few clients in relationships. And I get them to start doing a weekly accountability check-in because it's fucking life-changing. I get all the clients to do that, even if they're not in a relationship. I get them to just pick someone else in the coaching group, or I pair them up with each other. Sometimes 3 of them will join into a little trio, and I'll say every week you guys are going to meet on Zoom or whatever, or in person if you live in the same city. You're just going to keep each other accountable and keep doing that for the rest of your fucking life. And accountability really helps with that shit. But yeah, point is, I used to be so obsessed with this idea of being an alpha male, being perfect, but it really was born out of fear. I was afraid that someone would find out the real me, and that was kind of the point of this original video. It wasn't so much to call anyone out. I know I mentioned a couple of names there. You know, Andrew Tate has definitely had his fair share of people that don't really like him, and he seems to enjoy that. I think he wants that, but, you know, I have nothing against the guy, but it is sort of that fake wall of bravado that's never really real. I've watched a fair bit of his content. I haven't watched all of it. There might be a video out there where he's raw and real. I don't know. But at least what I have stumbled upon, there's never really been a moment of rawness or realness or anything other than the sunglasses on inside the big fat cigar and I'm top G, I'm the best on the internet, fuck all these other people. If you're a boxer, you're a fucking loser. If you walk out there hitting on women, you're a fucking dork. Like, there's a lot of that shit. And so that's often just a wall of fear of being found out as not perfect. It's sort of a defense mechanism in a way, but he's very welcome to do that. That just isn't the kind of stuff that we do here. And again, nothing against him. He's a human being like all of us. So I used to be very obsessed with that. I used to be kind of like Andrew Tate, to be honest. Like back in my Red Pill days, I was very much like Andrew Tate. So yeah, when you start to be a little bit more raw, a little bit more real, you start to risk being rejected. You start to risk having people call you a pussy because you're sharing your emotions. You start to have a bit of that vulnerability. Then something beautiful happens. You start to realize, like Zero T6V here said, you realize that we're all people at the end of the day. Because when you open up, not everybody is going to handle that well, but some people will reciprocate and they will say, I have fears too. I'm not perfect either. I sometimes don't know what I'm doing as well as you do. And then you go, holy shit, it's not just me. Okay. And then you realize we're all people at the end of the day. We're all just trying to do our best. We're not perfect. Nobody gave us an instruction manual for life. We were just put here on this planet and life kind of just said, good luck, faggot, figure it out. And we're like, holy shit, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, no shit. None of us do. And so we're just trying to figure it out. We search for meaning. We search for happiness. We search for love. We search for all of those beautiful things. And we're all just trying to do our best. People like Andrew Tate, I said it before, are just trying to do their best. And that's the path they've gone down. And that's the path that I went down for several fucking years, thinking that being a big alpha male and having all the stuff and having abundance and having hot women and lots of sex and threesomes and money and all of that was going to make me happy and fill that sort of void in my heart. But what I found filled that void in my heart was, first of all, connection, which is kind of what you're getting at here, Mr. 0T6V, connecting with other people and realizing that we're all one. We're all fucking children of Earth. We're all human beings. Connecting with other people helps fill that void in your heart. Being more honest is how you have a deep connection. You cannot have deep connection if you're putting on this alpha male like bravado wall. Like, you're never going to let anyone in. And lots of women do the same shit. Lots of women put on a wall. It's not like an alpha female wall, although some of them do that. But they'll close themselves off and never be truly vulnerable because they're afraid of being hurt. It's like one of our biggest fears. And so when we let down our guard a little bit, yeah, some people don't handle that very well. Some people might even hurt us, and that's okay. We're strong, we're resilient, we'll feel the emotions, we'll let ourselves feel sad, we'll let ourselves grieve, we'll let ourselves feel hurt, we'll talk to our friends about it. You're welcome to hit me up for one of those $200 coaching calls. We'll talk to whoever we need to, and we'll start to process it and reframe it. And you can use my Play to Win video course for that. I have a chapter on that, what to do if you feel rejected or hurt or betrayed or any of that. We work through it, and then we try again. We talk to the next person, and maybe they handle it a little bit kinder. Or maybe we get better at being vulnerable, and we share in baby steps. At the start, you can just start sharing little tiny baby steps. You don't have to go on a date and be like, I don't know anything, and I don't know what I'm doing, and you know what? I'm a complete fucking train wreck, and I got put here on this earth, and there's no instruction manual, and I don't even know who I am. Like, who the fuck is this? And I cry like 10 times a day. I don't even know anything. Like, do you ever feel like that? And she's like, whoa. Okay, I just wanted to have a drink. Like, that might happen. That's okay. You're allowed to share in a clumsy way. Nothing bad happens other than your own feelings about it, your own thoughts about it. But you can start with little tiny baby steps and say, hey, let's play a fun game. Do you ever feel insecure about something? And she'll be like, yeah, no shit, I'm human. And you go, okay, let's go. I'll go first. I'll share one tiny little insecurity, and then you share one. I am insecure that my muscles aren't big enough. And she'll be like, wow, but you look good. And you're like, yeah, I know, but I'm insecure about it a little bit. Okay, you go. And she'll go, I'm insecure that there are women with bigger boobs than me. And you go, no, look, I don't want to be crass, but like, your titties are banging, girl. Like, you're pretty. You look beautiful. I'm trying not to stare, but like, you got a nice little rack going on there. Look, it's very nice. She'll go, thank you, that's really nice. And then you just kind of go back and forwards a little bit, share a couple of little baby insecurities. So you can baby step your way into vulnerability. But yeah, as you start to open up with other human beings, whether that's with men, whether that's with women, which by the way, there's no fucking difference between the two. It's not me saying some weird shit, but the more you open up to men, the more you open up to women, you start to realize, like, this guy fucking already has realized this guy's probably enlightened. This might be the Dalai Lama right here, and we don't even know. 0T6V, are you the Dalai Lama? If so, fucking leave a comment and let us know, my brother. But as he's already figured out, we're all just people at the end of the day. Like, you start to realize that men and women have more similarities than differences. I've done podcasts on this. Like, there's one I did called Women Are Just Human Beings with a Pussy. That sounds hilarious, but yeah, they're human beings. Men are human beings too. And we have more similarities than differences. It's just that we often focus on the differences, don't we? But if I'm trying to connect with another human being, I find it more helpful to focus on the similarities, not the differences. But most of dating is fucking obsessed with the differences. No, you form a connection. Like, imagine this is a Venn diagram. You form a connection in the overlap. God, I'm really fucking this up, aren't I? But in the middle there, where the Venn diagram overlaps, that's how you form a connection. And so don't worry about the fucking differences. If anything, the differences are something interesting. They're the spice of life. But the similarities are the connection of life. The same thing with other people. Like, so many people, I know in America, a couple of weeks ago, you all had like the big election, Donald Trump versus the other chick, Kamala Harris. And fucking hell, your country loves to fight over that shit. And that's okay. Most countries fight over this shit. It's just that you guys make a theater of it. You have like fucking speeches and fireworks and Trump rallies and Kamala Harris rallies. You guys love to make a theater of it. Or the media loves to make a theater of it. And again, if you want to connect with other people, you don't focus on like, oh, you're left and I'm right. You believe this and I believe this. You believe in this anti-abortion. I believe in pro-abortion. You believe in trans rights. You believe that trans people aren't real. You think we should build a wall. You think walls are stupid and gay and dumb. Like, whatever fucking differences. Who gives a fuck? Do you know how many differences there are? If you like autistically went through everything in your entire life and then asked everyone else, do you agree with everything that I believe in and think and preference and love and like? No, there's going to be like 10 billion things they don't agree with. Even the basic shit, like, I like chocolate ice cream. And someone else will be like, well, I like vanilla. You don't have to fucking hate vanilla just because you like chocolate. It's possible to like chocolate without hating vanilla. You just don't enjoy vanilla. You don't have to fucking hate it or demonize it or fucking make it into some big thing. And so the same thing with like politics. This person believes in abortion, this person doesn't. Cool. Who gives a fuck? Focus on the things that you both have in common. You both want people to be happy. You both want to be loved. You both want to be understood and to understand other people in life and all of that. You both just want happiness at the end of the day. Focus on that. Then you might find a best fucking friend in the person that you thought was your political rival. There's literally a 3-part video series on this, which is why I'm bringing it up. So this channel right here called Discover Connection, one of my favorite channels, by the way, and perfectly relevant to what we're talking about today, about connecting and seeing that everyone's just a human being. So there is a 3-part series. This one down here is the first one, called I Tried Making Friends at a Trump Rally. And then the second one, I tried making friends at a Kamala rally. And then what they did is they brought both of those two people together and said, what happens if we get them to do all these crazy experiences? Like, look, there's them both skydiving. They went rock climbing. They had dinner together. They did all sorts of stuff. And yes, they bickered and argued and had big egos, both of them. But for the most part, a lot of the time, they were able to focus on the similarities that they both had rather than the differences. And they both were pleasantly surprised and were like, holy shit, I honestly thought that all Trump supporters were redneck fucking assholes who wanted, all this horrible shit to happen to women and Mexicans. They hated Mexicans and all of this. And the guy that they found is actually part fucking Mexican. The Trump supporter is part Mexican. And it's funny, he had these stereotypes of what he thought a Kamala Harris supporter or a leftist would be like. And he said, I really thought you were going to show up with blue hair and tons of piercings and you were going to be like some weird gender that I didn't understand and it was going to be awkward. And she's like, no, I'm a Christian and we feed the homeless and we're just like normal people. And so they bonded over their connections. They both cared about other people. They were both Christians. They both liked the outdoors. They both liked to go rock climbing. They both had been through a lot of shit in their life. She'd been through a bunch of shit. He'd just gone through cancer and been a cancer sort of healer. I don't like the word cancer survivor, but cancer healer. He healed his cancer. He healed his body. So they focused on the similarities. So that, again, is on this channel called Discover Connection. I really recommend those 3 videos. And again, yes, they didn't become best friends for life or anything because they weren't quite able to transcend their egos and their positionalities, but they focused, for the most part, on their similarities, and they had quite a few beautiful fucking experiences together. So just like this 0T6V enlightened Buddhist monk guy said to us, we're all people at the end of the day. Yeah, so focus on the similarities, or at least I have found focusing on the similarities is how I build connections with people. And the differences, I just say, isn't that interesting? Or I say, tell me about that. I'm curious how you got to that position. I'd love to hear more. And most of the time, the person has a reason. Most of the time, they're just there for a particular set of beliefs or something like that. I don't have to vilify or demonize their beliefs and say, well, you're bad for thinking that. You're literally Hitler because you believe that. No, I'd rather say, tell me about that. Like, how'd you get there? And if I really don't like their positionality on that, I can just say, that's okay, let's talk about something else. And if I really don't like a lot of their positionalities, like if someone was literally saying, I think that we should gas all the Jews, and I think that black people deserve to die. Yeah, I don't really support those positions. I'll just say, hey, it was really nice to meet you. And then I leave, and I have love for that person. They're on their own journey. Maybe they eventually get to a point where they realize killing other people isn't exactly, but that's an extreme example. Most people don't go around saying, I think we should kill all the Jews and like whatever crazy position that might be. But I have love in my heart for that person if they do believe that. I have love in my heart for fucking Hitler. He was going through a hell of a lot of pain after Germany lost the first war, didn't exactly have a great family life, had a whole bunch of people around him that just supported his narcissism and his wild ideas. He went to prison, and that's where he wrote most of Mein Kampf. He was very fucking bitter about being in prison. Yet there's circumstances and reasons why he became Hitler. And so even then you can say, okay, I understand. I have compassion for Hitler. I definitely don't fucking agree with the positionalities that he took and what he did. Holy fuck. I've read Anne Frank's diary. I've read Remembering Anne Frank, which was written by Miep Gies, one of the people that hid her. I've read a whole bunch of books on the Holocaust. I've watched a bunch of videos, Schindler's List, all of that shit. Like, I've done a bunch of research on the Holocaust. I understand that was not some nice shit. I get it. But he got to that position for a certain set of reasons. So we can have compassion for people without agreeing with what they're saying or doing. We can have love for people without supporting their choices or their beliefs or any of that. We don't have to demonize or vilify. In fact, you don't really make a difference in the world if you demonize and vilify. You don't overcome hate with more hate. You overcome hate with love, compassion, and then showing someone a higher point of view. or showing someone a better way or a kinder way, or just leaving that negativity, going away from that person and saying, fuck that, let's go build something beautiful. So really appreciate this enlightened comment, Mr. 0T6V. Mr. Buddhist Monk, let us know if you are literally the Dalai Lama. That'd be so sick if you are. As always, all of you, I appreciate you all being here. I'm super, super, super grateful for you. If any of you are struggling, like I said, guys, like jump on one of those $200 coaching calls with me. Like literally, we will sit there for as many hours as we need to. We will talk about whatever you want to talk about. I will love you. I will be there for you. I will give you a plan of action. If you're wanting to take photos and shit like that, I can tell you what photos to take. Like it's way easier in person. I'm basically understand I'm playing on fucking hard mode, trying to coach you guys through YouTube comments. And I like to do it because it's fun and I love interacting with all of you and you're all incredibly brave and I want to be here for you. But it's fucking difficult for me. Like, I'm not saying that to give myself a pity party. I'm trying to point out this is like the worst form of coaching that I can give you. If you want me to actually help you, just grab one of the $200 coaching calls. Or if you're interested in it, the proper hardcore coaching program. But make it easier on me, make it easier on yourself. Just let me sit there and talk to you properly and see you, and you can show me what you look like. We can have a conversation. You can show me your dating profile pictures. I can be there for you and love you and all of that. It's not as impersonal. It's quite impersonal talking to a YouTube comment because I don't know you. I can't see you. It's just me talking at you. So make it easier on yourself. Grab one of those $200 coaching calls or the big hardcore coaching program. We have payment plans and all of that stuff. You'd be doing me a favor because it's fucking easier for me to coach you. So help Andy not have to play on hard mode. Let me talk to you properly. I'll leave a link to all of that in the description. But you're all doing a beautiful job. Keep going out there. Keep crushing those goals. Keep improving and give yourself permission to suck. You don't have to be perfect. I promise. Just take some baby steps every day. It's okay if you look like an idiot, or you probably just feel like an idiot. It's okay if you make a mistake. It's a learning lesson. It's okay if you fail. It's a learning lesson. It's okay if people don't like you. It doesn't have to be rejection, even though it feels like that. It's just one step along the way to your greater self.